the game was different, right? The rules was different. The ball was different.
The Euro style is different in America.
The Euro style was a lot different than America.
That's the first time y'all seen that Euro step too, huh?
Absolutely.
Hi everyone, my name's Melita Emanuel-Carr. I am 26 years old. I attended the University of Illinois at Chicago and I graduated in 2017. I've played for my national team throughout my whole of my youth, and I'm currently on the senior team. That's a little summary. Nice.
So Melita, great to have you here. I think it's kind of poetic for me. You are the last one of the series. And
end it on a bang.
End it with a bang. The first person who set it off was Paige, who's your cousin as well. So I think that's great, and both young Black female athletes to start and end it. So I'm quite happy with that point of view. So really looking forward to today. How and why did you choose UIC?
It's funny because I remember talking to my coaches at Barking Abbey Academy that I attended for sixth form, and I said to them, I don't want to go to a cold state, I want somewhere hot. And then Chicago kind of hit me up like, hey, like, we're interested in you. I was like, yeah, I want to go there. Everyone was like, that's the Windy City. I had no idea. I was like, what does that mean? It's cold. I'm like, oh man, okay, it's fine. I risked it all. But the coach, she came to London a few times and she literally convinced my parents and myself that Chicago would be the best place for me. She was down to earth, made it seem like she's the motherly kind of figure, and my teammates were pretty good. And she had like this goal in her career to beat Green Bay. They was like at the top and they literally win every single year. So I'm like, oh, come on, yeah, I can do that. That's fine. Okay. So I go out there for a visit, and I don't know if the players just were tired or they was just like, it's postseason, we're not working out too hard. But I was watching them practice and I'm like, hold on a minute, like they don't seem that good. So I was thinking I can come in my first year and just kill it straight away. Also fell in love with the city. It was so beautiful. And my main reason was because Luol Deng was also in Chicago as well.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just perfect. I felt like he's a great role model for me and someone who could potentially look out for me while I was in Chicago. So I just thought it was a perfect opportunity. Nice,
yeah. Yeah, makes sense. I like it. What type of scholarship did you get, if any, and what factor did your grades play in you getting a scholarship?
So I had a full scholarship to the university. I had to sit my SATs. Well, first my GCSEs, obviously. I done pretty well, A to C's, and then I did my SATs. Trying to remember what I got. I've got like 1,300, I think. Okay. So it was a pretty okay score. But my coaches at the time said, just take it again, try to get a better score, because if, let's say, you wanted to go to the Ivy League, like it needs to be a little bit better. So I sat it again, got a little bit better. And when I was doing my A-levels, it was kind of tricky because I didn't really know whether I needed great results or not. I felt like, I just needed to pass, which was potentially true. I actually don't even know what I got for my A-levels because I left to go Chicago before the results came back. So I was like, snap. I don't care. I'm living my dream right now. I don't need to know my A-level results.
Oh, snap. Oh, that's crazy. And just because it's a bit of a I'd say awkward subject, what did your free, your full tuition include, your scholarship? So did that cover your books? Did that cover your insurance? Did that cover food? Like what entirely? Because, you hear about players getting full rides, full scholarships, and then they get hit with fees that the school aren't allowed to cover. So what did it cover for you?
So it pretty much covered everything besides my flights to back home from Chicago. So yeah, every year I would have to pay pretty much nearly $1,000 to travel to school and back. Yeah, got my books covered. In terms of food, my first year was different to the rest of my years. They gave us like a card with $300 on it to spend anywhere within the campus at any store. But then we also had cafeteria swipes, and it was unlimited. So I can go into the cafeteria anytime I wanted to. And they had like late night snacks as well that finished probably just after 12. So it was okay, I guess, but it was tough because the weekends, the food was horrible because everyone would go home. Because I went to a school in the city, not many people stay on campus. So they usually just go home and stuff. So the food was horrible. And I remember
only on the weekends.
Yeah, only on the weekends. And they wouldn't serve us dinner either. There was no dinner on the weekends, so I would have to fend food from somewhere else. And obviously $300 for the whole year is it's impossible.
$300 for the year, not like semester.
Yeah, no, for the whole year. So I would have to ask my parents for money so that I could get food and stuff on the weekends, which was kind of unfair. I don't think the coaches really understood that. They would just kind of say to us, pre-game meals or post-game meals, just take extra food and then put it in your fridge, and then have that later. So I used to do that to kind of get through as well. Okay. And then years after that, gosh, how much did they give us? So every semester they gave us $1,200 to just cover everything. So we only had maybe like 10 swipes for the cafeteria, and then everything else we just had to pay for through the $1,200, which is still nothing, because by the time you get your toiletry stuff and then you doing your grocery shopping, if you want to buy just anything for yourself, it's literally just that $1,200 in the semester. So it still wasn't a lot of money. And I used to just sneak into the cafeteria with the freshmen just to get some free food so I could spend money somewhere else. Yeah, it was tough. But we also got what was it? I can't remember what it was called, but it's like money from the conference. And I remember my first year, I got about $500. And then they taxed me and took off like $200 just because I was international. I still don't understand it today, but there's a bunch of rules, and I'm going through it myself, so I'm figuring it out. Uncle Sam makes sure he gets his regardless. No matter where you're from, Uncle Sam wants his. So nice.
I hear you.
Because that was not fair at all. And then it decreased every single year as well. My last year, I saw it was like $100. Like, what is this?
Yeah, you guys are old, innit? So you guys got like, the weight up and everything. So you guys just needed to maintain. You didn't really need no extra money.
Yeah, that's what they thought.
Bread and water. Great. So what questions did you ask the coaches when you was being recruited? What things were you interested? I know you was like, pretty excited because of the reasons that you gave, but did you ask any questions during your recruitment? What were the things that you wanted to know?
The recruitment stage was pretty stressful because I was going through my exams, and when you have a million coaches just contacting you all the time, I didn't want to talk to them. So I didn't really ask many questions. I kind of went through my coach and my parents. I'd be like, please, can you talk to her? Can you talk to him? Just find out like little things. For example, do you think I'm going to play? How good is the team in the conference and stuff like that? So yeah, I can't remember. I didn't ask any questions at all. It was just like, is the team good? Yeah, I want to go there. That was it, really.
What questions do you wish you asked now that you've gone through it? What questions do you think you should have asked at the start of your recruitment?
How they intend on looking after me, for example, money. How much money would I be able to during my visit, they did mention it, but I didn't realize I needed more money to survive because I'm staying with my parents at 16, 17. Yeah. So how much money do you need a month to survive? I didn't know the answer to that. So now I do. Now I'm like, damn, I should have asked that, because I had friends in different conferences and they got more money than me. So I kind of was a little bit annoyed at that. Also, I wish I asked the players during my visit, look, be real with me. What is the coach actually like? Because now I realized they gave me hints about little things, but I didn't really pick up on it. So they definitely kind of warned me, like, she's not a mother figure. She's pretty tough. But they did say, like, Chicago is just the best city ever. So if you want to come, it's up to you. Trust me, you're not really losing out on the court. What other questions would I ask? I think those are kind of the main point. Injury as well, just in terms of what happens if I get injured, like a serious injury. What's the process of coming back to playing? Like, is she the sort of person that, like, you need to man up and overcome the injury straight away, or rest a little bit, take your time and come back? Okay. Also, yeah, my freshman year, if I don't play too much, would you redshirt me so that I can get that year back? Or is she like, no, I just want you to play 4 years as well? I think that's a very important thing, because I feel like a lot of players are scared to ask for the coach to redshirt them so they can get an extra year. I'm not sure why coaches don't. Well, some coaches do always do that to their freshmen. But my coach was like, nah, there's no way.
And I suppose there's an element of the budget side of things. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, hey, I'm not validating, the mismanagement of players' eligibility, but it might be a case of, hey, I only want to spend X amount on this player. I don't want to give them, pay an extra year for their tuition or whatever, which I guess, you find that out through, asking that question, like, hey, coach, would I be able to redshirt if I'm not playing? Would I, and if they're like, well, no, I haven't got the budget for you, then, that might impact where you go. So, yeah, I think that's a really important question. Players need to ask. What was the league play like? So remind us again what conference you were in, and let us know what was the league play like. So was it guard dominant? Was it big dominant? Was it an up tempo? Was it a physical league? Break it down.
So I played in the Horizon League, mid-major, I would say. The league it kind of varied. We had teams that were really fast, all about the guards, and then there was some teams that literally just had a perfect fit. So the 1 was a proper 1, the 2 was proper 2, the 5 is a legit 5. So I think it was consistent in the fact that every team was different, which I kind of liked that, because every game the preparation was different, so it was kind of exciting rather than just playing bigs all the time, or just guards and having to play fast all the time. So yeah, the tempo varied. For example, Cleveland State, they were very, very quick and aggressive, and then you had Detroit, who were not as physical, not as quick. And then you had Green Bay, who were all about their plays. Like, they mastered everything, to the point where I remember dribbling up the court and I'll call it a play and they're calling it a different name, and I'm like, oh, okay. And they literally just shut down everything, to the point where I couldn't even see an opening to score myself or anyone else. Like, nothing was open. I'm like, well, okay, coach, what do we do now? She's like, stick with the play. I'm like, okay.
Did you manage to beat Green Bay in the end over your 4 years? Oh.
No. I don't know. I think it got to a point where it was it was a mental game for us. Our coach was just on us from the beginning. You have to beat Green Bay, you have to beat Green Bay. And then the week in preparation for the game, she would kind of put us down rather than try to build us up for the game. So going into the game, we're all like, oh, we're gonna lose by 50, or oh, like, I don't even want to play right now. She's irritating me. And so I remember, what was it, in my sophomore year, the score was literally like 2-30 in the first quarter. And we're like, okay, well, how do we come back from this? And even just our shooting percentage was just career low. So I think it was more of a mental thing, because they was definitely beatable. And in my final year, I remember the halftime score was level, and we're like, okay, we can actually do this. And then they just got there.
They edged out.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's good though, because they brought the league up and they made it to the NCAA tournament and did pretty well there as well. So, it's just a good team.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta shake their hands, man. Hey, the great job is a great job.
Yeah.
So what helped you graduate and play? What did you study at UIC? And being a student athlete, you have to juggle, especially being a starting guard or just being a starter in general, and then being good on the court and then being good in the classroom. How did you manage that?
It was pretty hard at first, especially my first year, because I had to go back to doing math, science, and English again. And especially English, I struggled with that because, well, I think the teacher just didn't like in my essays, she'll write, "This is not proper English." And I'm like, yes, it is. This is how I would say
England.
it.
Listen, love.
Yeah, like, this is England English, but she wouldn't let me off. And she actually failed me as well. I was like,
no way.
Oh. Yeah. So it was kind of tough just adjusting to that. Even in maths as well. I remember my first class, the teacher asked me, okay, so if you had a dime and a nickel and take that away and blah blah, and I'm like, what's a nickel? How much is that? And I remember everyone just looking at me like, this girl is dumb. And I'm like, I'm not from here. I'm sorry, I don't know you guys' currency yet. And then just the whole thing of practicing every single day for 3 hours as well. I wasn't used to that. So my body was very tired. So we practiced in the morning at about 7:30, and I would have like an 11 a.m. class, and then like a couple of classes after that. So I literally went to sleep at about 9 o'clock if I could, and then woke up at about 5 because I had to get my ankles taped because I was a freshman. I had to get there first. So yeah, I was just constantly tired.
Damn, that's was it mandatory to get your ankles taped? No,
so our coach wanted us to wear ankle braces, and I said it's really uncomfortable, I really don't like it. And she's like, okay, fine, you can get taped if there's enough space. And I had a problem with, the trainer had a problem with me. She basically only wanted to put her attention into the starting 5. And because I wasn't a starter, she was like, you don't need to be taped. And like coach said. So we had a disagreement, and she was being mean. And she was like, fine, get here for 6 o'clock or get here for like 5:30 one time. And I'm like, okay, so
just tries to make it difficult.
Yeah, but the ankle braces just were killing my feet, so I had to get them taped.
It's an interesting thing. At one point I did look into it a lot. I can't remember where my theory lied or where my preference lied, but I know there was a lot of coaches at one point were like, hey, every player has to have ankle tape or an ankle brace to kind of prevent injury, which I don't think I ended up being a fan of. I know the reason, but yeah, it's just a bit,
Yeah, I think if you don't have an ankle injury, you shouldn't wear the brace or the tape, because I felt like it hindered my ankles. I felt like halfway through the season, I'm just rolling my ankle every week because they were so weak and dependent of the tape and the ankle brace. And my coach also said if you did roll your ankle, you'd have to get taped and wear the braces as well.
Oh,
and I remember my shoe, like, I couldn't even fit into the shoe. I'm like, oh, this is silly.
Or playing sliders.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it was not a good look, not cute at all.
Brace and tape. Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, no way. No, I'm cool. I'm good. Were there any studying hacks? Were there any, cheats, anything that helped you, succeed off the court? We've had guys talk about certain websites, people talk about certain support groups. What did you use to kind of help you graduate and get the grades?
Yeah. So my first year, I just tried to do everything myself, and I realized that didn't work. Then years after that, do you know what? Cheating was literally the way forward. I can't lie, like it was just so easy to cheat, especially doing your A-levels and GCSEs. Like, you have the invigilators just walking up and down. So you literally could not cheat. But our exams, we're in a huge hall and someone's right next to you or in front of you. So I used to just sit behind the smartest person in the class, and you always knew who they were too. So just sat behind them and just peeked over. Point
guard vision, right? Point guard vision.
Yeah, exactly. So then I remember one class, the teacher's like, yeah, there's 2 different papers. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, you got A or a B1. And they switched it up. So I was like, shoot, like my vision ain't that good. I can't see that far. So then I had to bring out my phone. So I used to come in with a hat on, and then they used to clock that too. So they like turn your hat around or take it off. So I used to just have to just literally sit on my phone and try to get the answers that way. My final year was definitely the easiest because we had our academic advisor, like, just for basketball. Well, actually, no, we did have one before just for basketball, but his detention wasn't really to help us that much with our studies. But with her, she would put us in classes where she knew the professor and knew what type of exams they would give us. And she would make like the baseball team or the gymnasts sit that class first because they were the smartest, and then she would give us the answers. So it was perfect. And then sometimes as well, if we had games and stuff, she would have like all the basketball, all the people who missed the exam sit in the study hall room, and we would sit it together, and it was just like, oh, what's the answer to blah blah blah, what's the answer to blah blah blah, and literally it was just like everyone got A's. So it was perfect. And that, even I know cheating and stuff was not good, but it's hard to manage your time, and I don't think teachers really understood that. They kind of just looked at athletes as you're lucky and kind of envied us, and it's like, no, I'm actually really struggling here, can you help me? And yeah, the help just wasn't really there.
That's rough. Yeah, it's
Oh, sorry, I didn't say what I studied. So I studied criminal justice, just because everyone else did it, kind of thing, and I actually enjoyed the classes. My first choice was psychology, but I literally was falling asleep in class. I couldn't pay attention, so yeah, I changed to that. Don't ask me what I graduated with. I didn't really take notice.
No?
Nah, I think because my goal was, I knew I wanted to be a professional athlete. Grades don't matter when you're turning into a professional. So I was just like, let me just pass. I'm not really looking at, okay, after basketball, what do I want to do? Because I knew I would have to go back to school because I didn't want to stay in America. So I'm like, do these grades really matter? Probably not. So that was kind of my thought process, just pass your classes.
So what has your thought process changed what now?
No, not really. I'm happy I stuck with criminal justice because I have my own campaign, the Stop the Violence campaign, so it correlates really well. But yeah, I just, no one's ever asked me, so how were your grades in uni or even A levels? The most I get is GCSEs when applying for like small jobs. So it's kind of like, oh, how comes this is the case? But I don't want to go back to school either. That is just a no-no. So
I hear you. I definitely.
And in life, it's who you know really now, not really how much you know. So I kind of count on that to help me in life.
Networking, man. Yeah, you got a network. It's definitely about who you know. So playing for Barking Abbey, you guys won the chip that year, didn't you?
Yeah, both my years we won the schools league. It used to be the D1 league, but now it's the WBBL, and we came third my first year and then second my last year, which I'm proud of because we were a bunch of teenagers playing against women and doing well. And in my final year, we basically played against the GB team minus some players and still made it a competitive game. So, you know, I still think we should have won that game, but we had a bad fourth quarter. So yeah, it was good to you.
So thinking of, you know, what you guys went through or what you went through playing in Barking Abbey, like having a lot of minutes, and then transitioning to the States where, you know, you're a freshman, you're not really playing, you're not really starting kind of thing. How did you deal with that role change mentally? How did you go from, hey, I'm, you know, a featured player or I'm a focal point of the team, to now starting from the beginning almost?
It was tough. It was really tough because I was the player who had the mindset that I'm the best no matter where I go. So I was walking into practice and the players would like double team me and triple team me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm not really used to like 6'3" players like literally double teaming me, and they literally picked on me. And it was tough because I felt like they weren't my teammates. They was literally just out to get me. And I remember the assistant coach said to me, look, before you came, we told them that you're that guy, like you're gonna be the person to take someone's spot. So automatically they didn't like me. And yeah, that, I think it was more heartbreaking that my teammates didn't want me to be better. They just wanted me to sit down and not take their spot. And in the first couple of games, I actually started. And it was more because the senior guard, she fell pregnant. And so she was out and she got an abortion. I hope, well, no one knows who she is probably. Just putting her business out there. So she was out, and my coach felt like I was the next best two guard. I was playing the two when I went out there first. And I did pretty well in those games. I averaged like 15 points in the first like 3 games that I played. Then as soon as she came back, it just went to 0 minutes. And after a couple of games, it really got to me. Like I would literally just sulk on the bench or sulk on the bus journey home. And my assistant said, look, you should be lucky that you even got minutes in those first couple of games. Most freshmen don't even get that. Most freshmen don't even come on at the end of the game. And I remember towards the end of the season, when my coach would put me in with 1 minute left, she said to me, Mel, you ready? I was like, no, I'm not. Don't play. I don't want to play. And she kind of looked and was like, and I just got up and went to the table. I was like, yep, okay, let me just obey this one because I'm not about to run. So, yeah, I think I felt more disappointed in myself. So I was always in the gym, literally after classes, I'm on the court, asked for extra workouts with my assistant coach. And I just thought, let me just try to get better. I can use the facility whenever I want to. So let me work on that. And then I was so weak as well compared to the rest of the team. So I did extra weight sessions, and it was my goal to just be like one of the strongest on the team. But I think it was more heartbreaking when my coach from Haringey Angels and my mum came out to watch me play, and I didn't even get onto the court. I think that broke my heart the most because I wanted to make them proud as well, and I wanted to show England that I can play in America as well and still kill it. So the fact that I didn't do that, it was just like, oh, but I guess I made up for it for the rest of the years, so I can't be too mad.
Can't. So when you said you felt like your teammates were picking on you or, you know, gave you a rough time, don't you think that made you better? Don't you think that, you know, being met with that adversity was positive? Because then you kind of like, you know, you not playing in the States, you don't know what it's really about, and then them kind of giving you that baptism by fire, that kind of helped you, you know, your development?
It's kind of hard to say because when I got there, it was very segregated. You had the white teammates and you had the black teammates. And I remember there was a time where I literally had to pick, who did I want to be? Did I want to be with the white kids or the black kids? And I think the white girls thought, oh, she's from London. Like, yeah, she's one of us. I was like, yeah, sorry, your parties aren't really for me. So I kind of I went with the black girls. So automatically, the white girls, besides one actually, when I was a freshman, the senior, and actually the junior as well, they were cool with me still. But I had two other teammates who I feel like they were racist, I have to admit, and they just didn't like me from then. Even started spreading rumors about me and stuff like that. It was very silly. But then some of the black girls also still judged me on, she's this English kid trying to take my spot. So did it make me stronger? Not really, because I felt like if at the start, yeah, it's cool, but going into my sophomore year and this is still happening, it's like, okay,
it was continuous.
Yeah, and it was happening off the court as well. I couldn't vibe with them off the court, so I felt like on the court we couldn't be proper teammates either. I even have a story. My junior year, some recruits came over and we took them out, had a good time and stuff like that. And then basically we took them out and a fight happened and gunshots went off. And I was like, oh my God, I'm the host, like I'm their responsibility. But I didn't even want them to come in the first place because I didn't want that responsibility. But the seniors were like, no, you have to take them. And we told them, look, just don't tell anyone what happened. They even drank alcohol and was underage. We're like, oh gosh. And our coaches asked like, oh, so how was it? And we made a pact, like, you've got to lie. So we lied about it. Coach called us in again. I'm like, someone must have said something like outside the team, because why do they keep questioning us? And I lied again when I was by myself. And then a couple of the other seniors came in and told the truth. And it's like, you kind of went behind my back and did that. So, yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was pretty tough in respect of, I felt like I had no respect from some of my teammates. So it was tough.
That's crazy. Especially being from Europe, and this is a question that I ask everyone. Coming from Europe, we have a stigma of being weak, or, you know, we're not real basketball players or whatever. Did you feel that? Did that come across?
At first, yeah, that's what I thought. But speaking later with my teammates, they was like, no, we thought you was gonna come in and just kill everything. That's why we picked on you, because we felt like maybe this girl is legit, so let's put her down straight away, so that she doesn't take our spots. So it was, that was understandable. Nice. Yeah, exactly. It was like, oh, okay, but I mean, you made me tear my hamstring, and the trainer didn't like me, and she didn't want to treat me. So yeah, it was a good time. No, it wasn't at all. I think nowadays, now it's changed quite a bit. I kind of see players going to America and the Americans accepting them straight away, and the style of basketball in Europe has changed quite a lot as well. So I think it's more adaptable now. But when I was going into college, it was literally like, let me try and break your ankles and just look nice while playing. Whereas in England, it's like only dribble with a purpose. So I struggled with adjusting to the American game. Yeah, that was hard.
Hey.
Like, I wasn't a shooter at all when I was younger. I turned into a shooter because I thought, how else am I going to adapt? So let me be a shooter first and then figure out the rest later.
When you said dribble with a purpose, there's like a million and one coaches came to mind instantly.
Yeah.
In the UK.
Yeah. And use those exact words too. I will never forget that.
With a purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and one mixtape.
Your name's not hot sauce.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
That's hilarious. With the knowledge you have now, if you was to redo 3 things, and it doesn't have to be exactly 3, but if you was to redo 3 things, what would they be?
First would be to take weights more seriously. Before I went to America, I had a great strength and conditioning coach who's still my strength and conditioning coach. And I was worried about becoming too muscly and looking like a guy, rather than seeing it as this is going to make me faster, stronger, and a better player overall. So I think I would definitely change that. To be a bit more confident in myself. I didn't really speak too much when I was a freshman. I was just constantly scared. Even to go into the cafeteria and ask for something, I didn't want to do that because they was always asking, sorry, what did you say? Where are you from? And ask 10 million and one questions. And it's like, it's so annoying. I'd rather just not speak at all.
Are you from Australia?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I went to France. Okay, yeah, I've been to France before as well. Do you think he was the queen? Like, is that mandatory at 12 o'clock? Where did you get that from? Like, what? What else? I think making more connections. Like, even though Luau was in Chicago for my first 2 years, I did not use him at all, and I think that's one of my biggest regrets. What else? Not being afraid to transfer. I think after my sophomore year, I had a great sophomore year. I definitely should have transferred to just a higher team, I guess, a higher college. But I was afraid that I would go there and not play, or the whole process of it, I didn't even understand. I didn't know even how to go about it, because if my coaches talk in America, so my coach then found out I was trying to leave and then the team didn't accept me and I had to stay, then what would kind of happen to my career? So I stayed, and I definitely should have moved teams. Yeah.
If you obviously it's way too late now, but then if you transfer, you end up sitting out a year if you go D1 to D1. So I guess that would have been on you, whether or not you wanted to, if you would have been happier sitting out at a new program versus staying at the program that you was in and playing minutes.
Yeah, I think that's beneficial because you can use that time to adjust yourself to the style of the team's play, and just building that relationship with the team as well. I think that's very important. So I definitely wouldn't have minded sitting out. And plus I sat out my first year being a freshman, so I know what it's like as well. And it's a little bit different being a transfer, but I definitely think that would have helped my career.
And you would have had, then you only would have played 2 years of college basketball.
Worth it. It's worth it.
Okay.
Yeah, because imagine I'm stuck at a mid-major, averaging a couple of points, and then moving to a higher level. I'm playing with and against better players. I'm going to improve naturally. Well, I should if I'm doing things properly. So I always say to people, in your final year of college, you should be playing majority of the minutes of the game. If you're not, then you've kind of got to question yourself, what was you doing for the 3 years? Because you should know the system, you should be connected with the coach mentally, and you should be physically at your best, or better than the freshmen and sophomores and juniors anyway. So yeah, like if you're not playing your senior years, it's on you.
Yeah, true. So, yeah, real talk. What's the best part of playing college basketball?
The best part, I think the freedom, really, of being away from my parents, kind of starting a new life and finding myself, and just playing in front of thousands of people. Those were the most enjoyable parts, I think. Yeah, I would say the parties, but my first couple of years I was underage, and the parties on campus weren't very good because I was in the city. No one kind of had house parties. But I guess my last year, when I was of age and I could go out, yeah, it was pretty good times. Great times.
Okay, and then, you know, you mentioned playing in front of thousands of people. Talk us through how it was playing in front of those crowds, you know, home and away. Did you hate playing on the road? Was it, you know, was you intimidated? Like, speak to us about playing in front of so many people.
So our first couple of games of the season, we always had a pretty big crowd. And I remember my first game, like, I didn't even know where to go on the table to make a sub. So the person, someone in the crowd actually, they was like, Mel, you gotta go to the middle. I was like, and then what? And then she's like, crouch down. I was like, oh, because I was the first sub as well. So I literally just did not know.
Good looking out. I got you.
And then just hearing people shouting your name and you're looking up and you don't know who shouted it because there were so many people. I think it scared me at first, definitely scared me. But towards the end of my career, I kind of saw it as, oh, I've got fans. Like, I don't know who that person is, but they know me. So it gassed me a lot. And it also distracted me sometimes. Like, if it was a close game, to calm myself down, I kind of would just look around just to see who's in the crowd. And I felt like that kind of brought my anxiety down a little bit, my arousal level. Playing away though, it was hard. Like, you're at the free throw line and you had like I can't remember, what do you call them again? You know, like yes, you got that, you got your bubble head. I'm like, how did they even get this? I'm like, oh my gosh. But it was exciting though, because it's things that you see on TV and you live in it. It's like, okay, yeah, this is my dream come true.
What's the, if you can repeat it, what's the worst thing that you heard on the road? Like someone said to put you off?
I remember it was at Valpo, and I can't really remember what they were saying though. And it even got to my coach. At halftime, my coach was like, you need to ignore them. And then she ended up sticking her middle finger up at them. I was like, oh, whoa, I can't remember. I remember I made an air ball, and every time I caught the ball, they would shout air ball. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that literally put me off. But I think it gets worse when you become a professional. I remember when I played in the Commonwealth Games, in the final game, I accidentally tripped over one of the Australians, and it was their home court advantage as well. And every time I caught the ball, they would boo me. And I think that was probably the biggest crowd that I've played in front of. So it was literally thousands and thousands of people just booing me every time I caught the ball. And to the point I couldn't hear anything but the boos. So it literally put me off. But it's good, I guess, in a sense of your focus needs to be there, and it's just part of the game, isn't it? I guess, yeah.
That is hilarious. So what was the weather like in Chicago?
The first year was literally the worst winter they had in years, and it was horrible. Like, you had to wear leggings under your jeans when you walked to class. There was one point where the schools were closed because it was too cold, the windshield was too high, and obviously the coach still made us practice, and I would have to wear sunglasses outside. Yeah, but I had to wear sunglasses outside to just stop the wind from going into my eyes. I remember one time I didn't, and my eyelids were burning. It was that cold. Yeah, but the summers were amazing. So super hot, barely any rain like London. So it was nice because I got the changes, the actual proper seasons. So it was okay.
What's the must-see destination of Chicago? So, you know, what in particular did you go and see? And if you was to recommend, you know, talking to someone who was going down there, where would they have to visit?
Probably Michigan Avenue. Yeah, probably downtown, going to see the Beam, the Face Monument, even the Water Tower as well. I think, yeah, that's the perfect place. But I also would advise people to see like the bad side as well. Stay in the car obviously, and just drive through it as well, because the change is so dramatic. Like, I couldn't believe it, like how bad a city could actually be. So, like, when people complain about they're broke or they live in the hood or the ghetto in England, I'm like, you haven't seen anything. Like, that's nothing compared to what people go through in Chicago. So,
wow, that's when you started saying it, I was like, why would you tell people to do that? But yeah,
so what's the point of that?
Like, why, man? Especially if you got to keep the window out, like, dude. But no, yeah.
Yeah, it's humbling, actually.
Yeah, it sounds like it, you know, and makes you thankful for what you have. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. How did you deal with being away from your family, and, you know, the difference in time in terms of communicating with them? How did you manage to deal with that?
At first, I was very homesick. I asked to go home for Christmas, and my coach said no, obviously. As we now discovered, my coach wasn't very nice.
Yeah.
And I found it very unfair because everyone else that I knew in America was going home for Christmas. Even some of my teammates would go home. So being away from home at that time, that kind of affected me. But my coach said, look, you can't be a child all your life. Like, do you want to be an elderly woman still living at your parents' house? Like, no. I was like, okay, fine. And then with the, I think, time difference, I got there in the end. I wasn't the sort of person to sacrifice my sleep for anyone. So it was just like, you're sleeping? Oh, okay, it's fine. I'll talk to you another time. And my parents were pretty good because they would stay up to watch my games, and then I would call them right after and talk to them about it, and then let them go to sleep. So it was okay. It was just like the seasonal times where I really wanted to be home is when I was really homesick.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, as coaches, as I said, obviously I don't know your coach or anything, but, you know, she's like, hey, this girl goes home, she goes and she's out of shape, blah, blah, blah. Now we definitely ain't beating Green Bay. You know what I mean? Like, so coaches are, you know, these coaches are, and one thing I have to try and remind players that for you, it's your career and your education. And then on the other hand, it's the coach and their livelihood. You know, they've got mortgages, they've got kids, they've got, you know, situations, and their life and their family's life is dependent on, hey, did Melita have a good sleep? Did she do whatever? Now, is she going to be a good enough for the team for us to succeed? or is she gonna go and do something silly and not be ready to play this game? And now I'm on the hot seat. So it's
I think it's just it's a balance. I think if a player is literally crying out to you saying, I need time off, my leg's hurting, I need to see family, I think coaches do need to respect that. But at the same time as well, if the player then breaches whatever they say, then hey, okay, you're not going to get that opportunity again. But I think for coaches to definitely at least give a try to let the players do whatever they need to do to make sure that they're good on the court. I think there needs to be that. Like, for example, in The Last Dance,
Dennis Rodman, I knew it was coming.
The man came back and was killing it. So that is a perfect example. Every time I went home in the summer and I came back, my mind was fresh. I was good to go. And even being a professional now, going home for a few days, like it could be one day just for Christmas, and coming back, I'm a different player. Like I'm back, like I'm good. But if I stay there, you get bored. It's hard, especially when you're not from that country as well, or even the city. It's like you need time off, and they didn't give us that in college. Okay,
so you're trying to get Dennis Rodman on. I got you. I feel you. Coach has got. Maybe I'll start a paper or whatever, a seminar explaining the Dennis Rodman effect and trying to convert all the coaches to let the players while out.
Yeah, but also the players is only to understand, like, you've got to convince your coach, even down to water breaks. I remember we only had 2 water breaks throughout the whole 3 hours, and I'm trying to call players and nothing's coming out because I can't gather. There was too much like spit in my mouth to actually say anything, and we had to create like a whole PowerPoint presentation on why it's important to stay hydrated. And what got us, that's what got us more water breaks. So it's just trying to convince each other.
That's funny. Right, where's the best place to get food down in Chicago?
That is a hard one because there's so many places. You've got Harold's Chicken, that to this day nothing can beat that. You had Jim's, which is like a hot dog kind of burger joint, and it's like a shack, and it's mainly for like after a night out or like a late night snack. That's the perfect spot.
Late night for when you're a senior, right? When you're of age.
Yeah, of course, when you're of age. Or like if you're having trouble sleeping as a freshman, sophomore.
Okay.
Some comfort food. All right, yeah, you can do that. What else? You got Giordano's pizza, best pizza ever, deep pizza. Where else? The soul food in South Side.
So if I gave you
Jamaican taco shop.
If you was in college and I said, hey Melita, I'm gonna give you $25, go, you've got one choice of a meal, which one would it have been?
I think I'll probably have a breakdown because I don't know. Oh man.
Ooh, the food must be really good.
Yeah, I don't know. I gained 30 pounds my freshman year because I overate. So yeah.
I had the big man from Grand Canyon, and he said it's called the freshman 15. But it sounds like it's more like the freshman 50, and he was like, look, when you come in, especially European, and you've got all these fast food places all around, and you just go crazy. And he's like,
exactly. And I couldn't gain weight when I was in England. No matter what I did, I could not put on weight. As soon as I went there, it just was mad. So the coach was like, you need to lose a little bit of weight. Like, we've noticed you're gaining a bit too much. Couldn't fit into any of my clothes. Yeah, it was too much. But I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know.
Putting on weight, then you have the fat ankles, and then you put the wrap on, then the brace on. Yeah, you definitely playing in open toes, man.
Yeah.
Best place to get kicks?
Well, I'm not really a shoe head.
Okay. I respect that.
Our school gave us tens of millions of basketball shoes, and then you had your running trainers. I might buy like a pair from Foot Locker, but now they've got the House of Hoops in Chicago, like the huge one with the basketball court in it.
Okay.
So, and then I know in Chicago they do like pop-ups shops as well. So I know a lot of my friends would go to those to get the best shoes.
Okay. Last segment, doing great by the way. I'm like really enjoying this. Final reflections. So, was your level of independence suitable for college? Like, what 3 things should someone know or be able to do for themselves before going to college?
Yeah, I think my parents brought me up very well. Even though they thought I didn't know how to cook, I was watching, so I knew how to cook for myself. Knew how to like wash my clothes and just basic, simple living stuff I knew how to do. The only thing I think I lacked of was confidence to just speak to people. Even though I'm an extrovert, I was an introvert when I was in my first year of Chicago, because I don't know, I felt like I was just shy to speak to people and make friends, really. I just stuck with the men and women's basketball team.
Was that all the way through or just your first year?
It was up until my junior year, really, yeah, when I started venturing out a little bit more. Especially when I met my boyfriend at that time, he kind of helped me to do that, to just speak to different people and just get the confidence to say, yeah, I'm not from here, this is how I talk, get used to it, kind of thing. And is that what you do? So would you be able to help me with this and that? Yeah, so
okay.
I did it a bit more.
What was the biggest adjustment to the American culture? What was there a big difference?
I think the difference wasn't that much once I got comfortable with my teammates and my friends that I made. I think they're very similar females anyway, in their mindset of how English girls think. I think it was very similar, but I just think their ignorance was pretty bad, just in terms of knowing what life is like for other people outside of America. I think that was kind of frustrating, just hearing the silly questions and then they're actually being serious. Whereas I'm laughing, they're like, no, seriously, what's the answer? I'm like, oh my God. So I think that was probably the hardest thing for me culturally.
And I guess there's a lot of the African American community in Chicago, Illinois, so it wasn't too far different from.
Yeah, I think that frustrated me as well. I had one class, an African American class, and the things that they taught us, I'm like, is that it? Like, you're literally only speaking about America, like slavery and stuff like that is beyond America. And I wasn't the sort of person to put my hand up and be like, well, how come you ain't talking to us about this or that? I just kind of left them to it. And I think it kind of made me sad that when I asked people, where are you from? America. Where's your grandma from? Mississippi. What about after that? They don't know, and they don't really care to know either. But I guess it would be harder for them to find out their roots, I think, compared to English people, because at my age, we're probably the second generation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do find that interesting. It's, me coming from South London, Brixton, I'm like, when I talk to people and I'm like, oh yeah, so where's your family from? And they're like, America. And I'm like, it took me a while to compute, because normally it's like, oh yeah, Jamaica or Trinidad or like okay, cool, because where everyone was first generation, second generation, whatever, and then coming from over here, it's like that's all they know, and they don't acknowledge or respect some places, the Caribbean or Africa the same. It's like, nah, that's you black people and it's us black people kind of thing. Like, it's different. So
yeah, but I think it's changing a little bit now because my senior year, or maybe just after I graduated, actually, I felt like the black people were really coming out like, oh, my parents are Nigerian. I'm like, oh, all this time, like now they're Nigerian, like as Afrobeats is now starting to get into swings, like, oh, now you're from Ghana. Oh, okay. Where was this when I was there? Like
coming out the woodwork, trying to rap.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh man, right. So my favorite question of this show, right, talking about distractions. You leave England, you leave your home country at the age of 17, 18, and you're left to your own devices. So access to alcohol, access to drugs, to the opposite sex, or just love interests. What was it like dealing with those distractions?
I
know. I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what. Yeah.
Oh,
my favorite question.
My first year, I was literally focused on basketball, so none of that really affected me. In terms of alcohol, well, I drank when I was 16, 17 in London, so I was fine with that. I knew my limit and stuff like that, whereas the Americans didn't. I guess in my older days, I was kind of the bad person, I guess, because the freshmen would come in and I'll be like, okay, we're having a party. Now's your time to understand this is my limit. This is where I need to stop. So it's okay to get drunk. I will look after you. Even the men's team, I would say this to them as well. Like, don't worry. And then we'll end up like carrying them to bed. But afterwards, I'm like, you enjoyed yourself then, right? Yeah, okay, good. Just don't drink as much now next time and you're good.
Oh, it was like a service. It was like a public service.
Yeah, it was like, I'm looking out for you. So when you go out, you know how to look after yourself. Yeah, do it in-house first.
You're the real MVP. The point guard throwing the assist.
Yeah, and I think my coaches kind of understood that as well, because for my 21st birthday, my birthday's in November, so it literally fell just before the first game of the season, and they knew I went out for my birthday, and they understood, okay, she's gonna be all right. But I think it was more of a team thing as well, because there's times when we've all gone out and got hammered, and the next day we all still smell of alcohol and eyes are like this, and our coaches are like, are you kidding? But it would be one of the best practices of the season. So I think our head coach was looking at it as a positive, like, they're performing well, they're team bonding, but the assistant was like, but they're drinking alcohol, that is not it. So yeah, it was like a medium kind of thing. In terms of drugs, yeah, everyone smokes weed in school. It's to the point where it's kind of like, if you don't, who are you? Like, what are you kind of doing with yourself? I always tell people university is where you experiment and find yourself as well, and you learn. So I wasn't a pothead or anything like that. Only tried weed and shisha. I did shisha as well quite a bit. But I think just the accessibility of it is just too easy. I think it needs to no. Let the kids experiment. I think it's when it's just being smart with it though. So for example, like you said, Jordan said that he got caught by the police. It's just making sure those kind of things don't happen, so you don't get sent home for, I don't know, getting too drunk and then raping someone. You hear that quite a lot for Europeans getting sent home because they're on trial for rape. So it's just saying level-headed, just know you are there for a purpose, but still have your fun. But I think for me, the hardest part was when I was broke and I knew the drug dealers and stuff because it was literally outside my doorstep. Like, should I sell? Like, I can make a little bit of money. So, but obviously, I'm not trying to sound like some proper like, like I'm a goody, but it's just making sure that you don't get caught and you're there for a purpose, but still, again, just have fun as well with it.
And that, I think that's been the common theme throughout the whole series, that there's a acknowledgement that there is a case of, okay, I'm in this place on my own. There's the kind of fitting in demographic of, hey, I don't want to be the odd one out or ridiculed or whatever, which comes at this age. Curiosity is another thing, and certainly of the individuals that, you know, we've had on the show, it's just been of, hey, you know what, everything in the moderation, everything just having an understanding of what I'm doing and knowing my purpose. I'm here to, you know, study and play ball. So if whatever I'm doing outside of that affects it, then I need to cut it off. You know, I need to stop it.
Yeah, I do say to people, if weed is okay, you can't really, well, all of you know of anyway, you can't die from it, but if it's still an addiction. And when I see people smoking every single day, many times a day, I'm like, okay, you need to stop. And I think even with alcohol as well, it's just knowing, okay, well, just make sure that it's not affecting you too much. Like, I've seen so many people just be broke because they're spending their money on weed, and I'm like, okay, it's not cool. And even being English, going to America, and the guys kind of be like, oh, I love your accent, like come talk to me. It's a level of respect there for myself, and just still making sure I have fun and whatnot. It's okay to date people and stuff like that, but I found sometimes that guys were literally like, oh no, come chill with me here, when usually I would be in the gym. And I think it's important for female athletes to make a bond with the males basketball team as well, because I'm not gonna lie, I think a couple of guys on the men's teams were the one that kept me focused. They'll be like, Mel, come on, we're going to shoot. Work on your floaters on me because I'm taller. So I think they really helped me throughout my career.
Okay. And I know you mentioned a little bit earlier about your boyfriend. I like, when did you meet him and all the rest of it?
Started dating him in the beginning of my junior year. I met him through a friend that passed away, actually. He got shot in Chicago. That's why I'm saying, like, it's humbling. Oh,
wow.
So I met him there. He played basketball at Middle Tennessee, so he was pretty good as well. He would also help me in the gym as well. But it was kind of tough because I felt like one of the reasons why I didn't transfer was kind of because of him as well, because I was just comfortable. He was he helped me and didn't help me. He was upset, like he was addicted to weed, and because I smoked here and there, but for him it was every single day, and it was kind of off-putting, and especially when you had the RAs coming knocking at your door like, hey, like, what are you doing? We could suspend you for this. It was kind of like, okay, can you leave me alone, kind of thing. But yeah, it was my first relationship really as well, so it was a learning curve for me. So yeah, I wouldn't really change it. Okay. Ended as soon as I went home. Sounds like long distance now, sorry, can't do that.
would you say? Well, no, because you said it was positive. But do you think you would have been in a different situation if you wasn't in a relationship?
I don't think so, because I would have been out more. I feel like partying. Whereas he's like, "Can you just stay home?" Oh, fine, okay. So, but I don't think it would have changed much. Like, I was still very focused on basketball. I still knew my purpose was to become a professional. And even like when it was time to leave, he's like, "Come back, come live here." Nah, no, I came here so that I could play college, so I could become a professional. So, and I still think right now I would choose basketball over relationship anytime. And this is why I'm single, because I don't feel like there's a lot of people in the world that understand when you have a purpose and you're actually focused on it, nothing can come in between that.
Very strong words.
I know, but to all the guys listening out there, like, do still. I'm not saying I want to be single for the rest of my life, but there needs to be a balance. Sometimes I need to go practice, and I have to go to the weight room. I've got a lot of male friends because I play a male dominant sport. Oh gosh, that's funny.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. I love it. Last question. This has been fantastic. This is, signing out with a bang. I like it. What advice would you give to the new recruits that are looking to attend college or play basketball in the States? What advice would you give to them? Don't let your first year determine your last year. So when I say that, I mean, you may not play for the whole season, but if you still work hard, you buy into the system of your coach, you will definitely play in your last year. I see too many people transferring after their first year. I think give it 2 years and then transfer. Network. You have to network, because later on in life, there's going to be people that you would meet in college, and they are the ones to really help you in your life in the future. Also, don't be disappointed if things don't work out for you. I know that there's a lot of players that basketball's just not for them, and you kind of see them spiraling down, like going into depression because they're still trying to make it. But there are other options as well. Don't let basketball be your life. Like, make sure you have time to enjoy yourself and do other things. But like I said, just make sure you have a balance as well with that. Don't do too much of one thing, because you will turn mad. That's some great advice. That is some really great advice, and especially for those who have I don't want to sound negative, but they have a closer expiry date with basketball, or playing wise anyway. Understanding that, hey, it's taken you thus far, and it's opened up other opportunities for you to do other things. So yeah, I think that's a very valid point. Not everyone's gonna play for the Lakers. Not everyone's gonna get recruited to Duke. Not everyone's gonna be a starter. Not everyone's gonna average 20 and 10. So just understanding that, and that's the whole purpose of this show. Is just understanding the different journeys, the different levels. There's things that everyone comes into contact with in terms of situations and scenarios, and just about what's best for you and how best to deal with it in your situation. So yeah, definitely a positive thing, and hopefully they get that out of especially this first season. Yeah, also one more thing as well, to the females as well. I know
equality and stuff like that is not there. And my advice is just don't even watch that. Literally, you have to just control the controllable. So like for us, for example, after every game, home game, we'll get $10 for food, and the guys will get $15 or $20. And we're like, it's not fair, but you can't control that. So there was too many times where even now I kind of find myself saying, how comes the BBL get this and the WBBL don't get that? How come they get paid so much more than us? And at the end of the day, it's just something that you kind of just need to let go. One more thing as well.
What was yours?
Your senior year, if you want to become a professional, you need to make sure you find the correct agent. I felt like my senior year, my coaches didn't help me with that. I didn't really know the process too much of how to become a professional, but luckily I had older friends that went through it already, so they kind of helped me out. So yeah, it's just making sure you find the correct agent for you. There's too many players that go with agencies because they're a big agency and they've got loads of like WNBA players on it, and you could be mediocre, so that's not the correct fit for you. So just making sure you find out your research if that's what you want to do.
That is, I didn't even think of that in terms of moving forward. How do you, as we just said, not everyone's going to play in the NBA, WNBA, so how do you get those pro contracts? How do you and maybe I'll have that as, you know, another season and have you back on and talk about that process, because I think there's a couple of people that have mentioned about the going pro route, and I think that'd be good to find out the transition of how easy or difficult, or, you know, what's involved in becoming a professional just in Europe in general.
Yeah, because we don't really have that as players, the support to become a professional. It's usually the support's there to get into college. But yeah, going pro, unless your coach is really invested in you, it's tough. And I've seen amazing players get terrible offers and then after their first year quitting, and I'm like, why? And they're like, well, I couldn't get anywhere. So it's sad to see stuff like that. So yeah, I think some education there would help.
Definitely. I know a couple of agents as well that I think would be good to talk. So thanks for that. That's definitely, I'm going to put that on my list. In fact, let me make a note of that.
Agents as well. I am a free agent as well. I'm looking for a team currently.
Aren't you, I thought you was playing with the Lions. No, not the Lions.
Yeah, the Lions. I was last year, and then I tore my ACL in the third game. And I was only there because I didn't like any of the offers that I had overseas. So I just thought, let me play here, get some good film, send it off so I could leave by Christmas. But then, so that happened in 2019, and the whole COVID pushed back my surgery. And so it's just been long-winded. I might go back to them, but we'll see what happens anyway.
Team up with your cousin.
Yeah, which is so weird as well, that I found out she's my cousin as soon as she comes to the Lions. It was random, very random.
Yeah, she was like, oh, talk to my cousin. I was like, who's your cousin? Like, Melita. I was like, oh, really? Like, yeah, we just found out. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, long distance family, in America as well. So.
You guys just picking up. But no, it's been great to have you, Melita. It's been absolutely entertaining, informative, and I'm pretty sure this will help somebody along the way in their journey. And you know, thank you for taking time out and to let us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. And if anyone has any questions, especially the younger generation, any advice, like, you can always hit me up. I'm very open, and
drop your tag, even though we'll tag you in the video, but drop your tag.
So Insta is probably the best way to get me. So it's Melita94. You can tweet me if you want, Melita11994. don't really use Snap. That's
The
not my
the
that's not my
disgust is like
generation.
you can tweet me. The disgust in the tweet.
Hey everyone, this is Melita. Thank you for tuning into the EuroStepping, and I hope you enjoy your career at college.
The game was different, right? The rules was different. The ball was different.
The Euro style is different in America.
The Euro style was a lot different than America.
That's the first time y'all seen that Euro step too, huh?
Absolutely.